You know what we should do now? We should go listen to Jesse Lee Peterson's opinion.
Over in Israel, and by the way, I love Israel.
I bet
I've
you
gone
do.
there. We have done 2 trips to Israel. It is like walking through the Bible. When I was growing up as a kid, from what I know, if not all, most people in America at least loved Israel because they knew the connection between Christianity and Judaism.
Okay, so I remember when I was talking about American domestic support for Israel, I brought up religious reasons and people were trying to reject that it's happening. This is like the prime example. I remember going to Sunday school being told that if we don't support Israel, and the reason that America's just getting destroyed, and the reason I was told was because they're letting the gays think about marriage and we're not supporting Israel enough. That was the 2 reasons that was given to me as to why America was failing. And obviously, that's terribly incorrect. But yeah, there's still like a large-scale religious support. Now, personally, my faith has nothing to do with large-scale collateral damage strikes where 50% of the casualties are civilians and large-scale amounts of dead children. That has nothing to do with my faith. My faith has nothing to do with forced evictions of people from their homes. My faith has nothing to do with raiding the 3rd holiest site of another faith, personally. But whatever. Update on IDF from ground forces. The ground forces are ready, studying the area, and will activate them when we see fit. Okay, dope. So they have yet to do it. Where were we? Oh snap, wrong one.
And so I grew up wanting to go to Israel, not to Africa, but to Israel. That's what my family was talking about. The churches would talk about it all the time. So I grew up wanting to go, and I had a chance to go, and it was amazing. It was amazing. Thank God for Israel.
Okay, none of this has to do with specifics. It's just him saying, I went to Israel. It was very nice. The Bible told me to love Israel. That's basically it so far. Amazing. Amazing. Anything else?
God for Israel, right? And thank God for Christianity. And so I had a chance to go, and it was amazing. The Palestinians hate Israel.
What?
Palestine. They hate them because they are Jews. I went there.
Wait. That's a hell of a summarization of the conflict. Okay, number 1, all Palestinians don't hate Israel, okay? That's a generalization. Number 2, they don't hate them because they're Jews, many of them who do. They hate the policies of the government because it means forced evictions. Their bombing campaigns have been notorious for killing civilians. The shooting of Palestinian protesters, specifically many dead children, and multiple wars. It's not all summarized in, oh, it's because they're Jews. There are anti-Semites among Palestinians, of course, like the Hamas organization or Palestinian Islamic Jihad, right? But you can't just summarize the entire conflict as, well, the reason why is because the Palestinians just felt particularly anti-Semitic today, so they sent a bunch of missiles over. Boss just went live. If you want to debate him on the whole situation, I can't. The thing is, I wouldn't go in to debate him. I'd go in, say you're wrong, and just leave, right? Because what would he debate? There's nothing to debate him on. He didn't even agree. He didn't even post Hassan's tweet. There would be nothing to. God, I feel so bad. To debate him on.
And it reminded me, and I mentioned this before, of America, where Israel has given up so much land to the Palestinians, and the Palestinians are angry.
Okay, no, if you look at any map, okay, the Palestinians have given up so much land. A timeline of Israel map. Okay. The government of Israel has not given Palestine all this land, okay? In fact, through multiple UN peace plans, the 1949 and 1967 war, and the illegal Israeli settlements in the West Bank, they've actually been like settling in land that internationally is recognized as Palestine in an occupied territory. That's not really disputable. So I don't know where he's getting this idea that Israel's giving Palestine all this land. In fact, in the Middle East peace plan proposal by the Israeli government, it wanted to basically preserve all the Israeli settlements, and the land it did give them was in like southern Israel, but it was like territory that's like arid and not populated and didn't make any sense. The map is BS. Even if this map is not entirely accurate, I just pulled up a random image. The idea that Israel is giving Palestine tons of land is wrong.
They have no love, right? So they're angry at the Jews.
In fact, it's weird for him to specifically say that in the context of much of this, like, kicking off because of the forced evictions from East Jerusalem. Why is such a small nation so important? Religious significance, strategic significance, it's a nuclear power, human rights issues, it contains many holy sites, like there's a lot of reasons.
Because they're losers. And
Wait, what?
Palestinians are angry. They have no love, right? So they're angry at the Jews. Because they're losers.
We're in the loser POV over here. I mean, if you want to talk about like them losing out on basic human rights or losing out on their territory because of the abuses of the Israeli state, then maybe in that context. But damn, man, yeah, you can't. The thing is, it's not something you can argue against. It's just like a statement. Like it'd be like if I said Jesse Lee Peterson is a I don't know, is a banker. Like he has no history of banking, but I just said it. Like how do you debate that? Like, well, we have no evidence of him being in banks. Well, no, he's a banker. Like you can't. Yeah, if I said GLP is a loser, it's not something you can debate or like argue about. It's just extremely morally loaded insults.
And instead of making the land better, it looked like a ghetto. Right across the road, you can see.
Well, why is that? What about the Israeli and Egyptian blockade? What about the lack of statehood that means that it's more difficult for them to like provide basic services? What about the bombings? What about the lack of COVID support from Israel? Now you could say, well, why does Israel need to supply Palestine with support? Because of look at this treaty. It says that Palestine is supposed to do its own medical stuff by this year. Yeah, but that agreement was signed under the idea that by now Palestine would have been a state. So this idea that they just slowly descended into ghettos and poverty because the Palestinians are losers is devoid from all historical context.
I believe it was like the city of David and other cities. And it's just ghetto. They sit around looking over in Israel all beautiful and clean. And it reminded me of this country where the blacks hate the whites, not all, but most. And the blacks are not doing anything for themselves, their own community, and anything.
You know what? I would say that America's historic treatment of black people and Israel's historic treatment of Palestinians when it comes to an oppressor and oppressed relationship isn't entirely inaccurate here. It's just the reason he's comparing it that is. So, he is technically based, but in a roundabout way.
Right? And and so the white folks are making America great, beautiful, right? And in the black community where the white people are leaving, it's ghetto because they're so angry they can't get anything done. Same thing over in Israel. I'm like, what? I had no idea. And we went up to the dome, and at the dome, they give you this tour, but there's a moment of prayer. And the Christian had to pretend they were not praying because apparently the Palestinians, I think they took over the dome.
What?
And something happened. And
He doesn't even know what happened. He just said something happened. He's just completely shooting from the hip here. Just something hoping. They took over the dome? What do you mean something happened? Let's listen to that again.
Christian had to pretend they were not praying because apparently the Palestinians, I think they took over the dome. And something happened. And
what happened was that the Israeli government raided Al-Aqsa Mosque, which is third holiest site in Islam. I don't know what he mean. Does he mean like the dome in the old city of Jerusalem, or does he mean like the Iron Dome? I can't tell. I can't tell.
While we were praying, the Palestinians walking around close to us trying to see what we were doing. I was like, what the? It was a mess. So this battle of good and evil is happening around the world. It has nothing to do with male or female. It has everything to do with the hardness of the heart. That's why you must be born again of love. Well, over the years, Israel has given the Palestinians.
Well, I mean, like Jesse Lee Peterson's whole ideology is based on the idea of love through the Bible. So, like, are the bombs that are like blowing up Palestinian children, are they like love bombs? Like, is that an expression of God's love through His chosen people, or like, what? How does that translate from like a biblical context?
Palestinian land.
If you're not a Muslim, you can't pray to Allah's mosque because it is provoking. Yeah, there's the thing about the Temple Mount and the idea that due to like Jordanian influence, and like it's kind of complicated, but I know he restricted access to the Temple Mount, but yeah, Jews cannot pray at the Temple Mount. Yeah, personally, I find it a little ridiculous.
Whatever they ask for, they eventually give it to them, but it doesn't make them happy. They want more and more. They want to push the Jews into the ocean. If I just...
The thing is, the idea, okay, I hear this a lot. The idea that they need to act this way because Palestine's going to push them into the ocean. So are you telling me that Hamas and the Palestinian Islamic Jihad, with their balloons and rockets, are going to be able to push in one of the most sophisticated military powers, which has nuclear weapons, armored vehicles, a draft, highly trained soldiers, a powerful air force, precise and technologically significant artillery, and an Iron Dome defense system is going to be pushed into the ocean by balloons and missiles? Just not possible.
Decide to take the notion and jump in the ocean. Ain't nobody business if I do. So they want the Jews in the ocean.
What?
And they're at it again.
I would love it if he was more specific, but he doesn't know the specifics. So he'll just say the Palestinians want this or the Palestinians want that when he's talking about like Hamas or Palestinian Islamic Jihad. So bizarre.
I believe when Donald Trump was in office, we didn't see this mess happening.
No,
But
there was
they're
still
at
no.
it
It was
again.
actually it was worse because well, not worse than this specific escalation, but the escalation that's currently happening is not due to Joe Biden or due to Donald Trump. It is due to the government of Benjamin Netanyahu. But Benjamin Netanyahu was emboldened by President Trump, and we sent an inexperienced man, Jared Kushner, to make a Middle East peace plan. And said Middle East peace plan was basically just, we'll give Israel everything, including military control of all of this, security control, all these things, and it'll be wonderful. And there's your solution. Oh, and all the illegal settlements can stay. Oh, and right of return. Yeah, good luck with that. Never mind. Go talk with Vosh. He's live now. What do you want me to talk to him about? I keep getting like, go talk to Vosh. Talk to him about what? Wait, Dylan's lying. Jared Kushner already achieved peace? True. True. What did Ben Shapiro say? What does this have to do with... This is such a basic statement. Israelis and Palestinians deserve equal measures of freedom, dignity, and security and prosperity. Now, it's not going to be backed up by policy as far as I know. I have yet to see that happen. It's just such a basic statement. And Ben Shapiro, seeing somebody even for a moment indicate that Palestinians are human beings, immediately sprawls into a, then Hamas, Islamic Jihad, and PA should be removed. Hamas and PJIJ are terror groups, and PA Fatah is a terror group, and Mohammed Abbas is the 17th year of a 4-year term. He just said that Palestinians are human. Well, okay, if Palestinians are human, you need to remove them. And if you don't remove them, then they're not human, because Palestinians are evil to the core. And you think I'm exaggerating when I say that's his position. You got to look at his old articles on Palestine. Like right here. The Radical Evil of the Palestinian Arab Population by Ben Shapiro. God. I'm later I'm gonna take a bunch of snapshots of this and respond to this with that. God, this hurts. 2007 though, the thing is, it is an old article, but he's released multiple articles like that, even up to the early 2010s. The problem is that he's condemned some of it, but he didn't condemn that specific article. And Ben Shapiro has yet to change his positions since then. Like his strategic, moral, and ideological positions about Israel-Palestine relations are the same. So it's hard for me to really believe that he's changed it all. Didn't Ben Shapiro call the Palestinians roaches? I don't know, but he did say that they live in open sewer.
This is from the Daily Mail. Protests are breaking out across the United States as Middle East violence intensifies. Watch this.
Israel stepping up its attacks on the Gaza Strip Wednesday, targeting a 9-story residential building, firing rockets after issuing a warning of an incoming strike. In Tel Aviv Tuesday, hundreds of Gaza-launched rockets lit up the sky. On the ground, men, women, and children ran for their lives. The latest back and forth in the decades-long violence due to conflicting claims over Jerusalem. In Manhattan, a heated and chaotic reaction to the intensifying crisis. Pro-Palestinians protested outside the Israeli consulate, but were met by counter-protesters carrying the flag of Israel.
Guys, come here!
While cops tried to keep these clashes controlled, the world is calling for de-escalation in the Middle East.
Terrorism is terrorism wherever it is.
If this continues, not only Palestinians are gonna die, innocent Israelis are gonna die too.
Amazing. What in the world? Where is Donald Trump when you need him, huh?
What? How would Donald Trump fix the situation? He sent an inexperienced individual, Jared Kushner, to the region who didn't make a decent Middle East peace plan. Somehow, for some reason, somebody with zero experience was in charge of making a Middle East peace plan. And all Donald Trump does is back up Netanyahu in whatever he says. So how would that fix the situation? How would that bring about peace? If anything, Donald Trump would probably be proposing like, hey, you know what? Do a ground invasion. Let's do it. Let's just straight up, just take it all. Screw them.
It's like all hell breaking loose. because the Christian white straight male is gone. He's not in charge of the White House right now.
I have heard a lot of statements in my days, but I've never seen somebody claim that the reason why Palestine and Israel is currently in conflict is because we don't have a white straight male in the White House, while we have a white straight male in the White House. He's straight. Hey, straights. He's Biden, not straight then. Brilliant. Brilliant commentary from JLP.
And all hell on both sides, all four corners of the earth. This is why they try to get rid of you white folks. Because they know that, especially straight white conservative Christian men of power, they know if they could get rid of
Somebody just in chat just say he's Catholic, so Catholics are still Christian.
you, it's over for the world. Really. According to the BBC, Biden administration restored $235 million in U.S. aid to Palestine,
Good.
reversing the
Bare
cut
minimum.
made by Donald Trump. See that? They want hell.
What? What? Million. Number one, not million. Now, we give billions in dollars of strategic military aid to the state of Israel. We give millions, 250 million to be precise, of humanitarian aid, not military aid, but humanitarian aid to Palestine. Not even like a record highs. It's just restoring old cuts that we made to Palestine. And that's the cause of the conflict. That's why we're trying to spiral this out of control. What JLP is saying, like, if you give Palestinians basic things like water or medical supplies, then it's going to spiral out of control and into hell. That's what he's saying here. Any assistance to Palestinian people will cause conflict. What JLP is advocating for, through his two brain cells barely able to make contact in his skull, is basically saying that Israel should steamroll Palestine. Palestine should get no medical or financial assistance whatsoever, even though we give Israel much more. And that the reason why this is all happening, it isn't due to forced evictions, it isn't due to Al-Aqsa Mosque, it isn't due to any of these issues. It is simply due because Palestinians are predispossessed to just hate Jews, like genetically or ideologically, all of them. That is his analysis of the situation. Now, while JLP is a funny kind of like clown show to an extent, and it is kind of funny, it is also really sad to see all these children getting killed in airstrikes and Israelis living under fear of rocket strikes, and some of them died. Even a child died under a Hamas rocket. And his analysis to the situation is basically like Palestinians are cockroaches. And they don't deserve basic treatment.
They want fear.
Us giving humanitarian assistance to Palestine is fear? Fear of what? Fear that we might decrease poverty? Fear that we might give someone medical assistance?
That's how they control you. They want all of us divided and fighting over stupid stuff so you don't see what they are doing.
What are they doing?
The Revolver is reporting that violence is escalating in East Jerusalem over land dispute.
Forced eviction of Palestinians who have lived in East Jerusalem for generations.
impossible eviction. The mayor of Israel said,
I love how there's literally about, what, 50 seconds, not even 50 seconds left in the video. And now, at the end of it, after saying Palestinians are evil, that America should give them no aid and only give Israel military aid, that this is all because all Palestinians are anti-Semitic, giving no historical context, now with 30 to 40 seconds to spare, he gets into a tilted version of why this current escalation and violence is occurring.
we have completely lost control of the city.
Amazing.
And the streets are witnessing a civil war between Arabs and Jews. That's what they want in America.
Who are they? When you say they, do you mean Biden? I see no evidence of that. When you say they, do you mean the Palestinians? Like there's Palestinian terror groups like dug in somewhere? Just they.
And y'all falling right into the trap. What the? Amazing.
That's his entire commentary on Israel-Palestine. By the way, I thought it was 30 to 40 seconds of context. It was about 15. The last little bit here is all just him pushing his show. That video was amazing. Absolutely amazing.